I've been working in the field, developing my approach to sculpting for 20 plus years. And I've developed some, maybe 2 or 3 different approaches. One of them is I build a core of an inner skin of corrugated cardboard. And this is an arm, segment of an arm of a larger piece. And I'll build a framework, capturing the form, and then gluing and pinning these sections to form the outer part of the inner skin. Then I will coat it with a layer of fibrous material, maybe 2 or 3 layers till I get it just right, and then I will have an outer layer of acrylic polymer, which is a tough material, non-ceramic, sorry. And actually this is the arm of a larger piece called the evil one. As far as how the things have changed over the past 15 or 20 years, this is an early piece. Now this is with the cardboard done in a similar way, less sophisticated perhaps. And it's painted, I treated it with resin, which makes a very slick surface. And I painted it with enamel paints, which have a very flow very easily. So it makes for a fast line, and more of an unsophisticated line. The later things, which tended to get smaller, if for another reason I ran out of storage space, I used the acrylic polymer with an acrylic paint, which tends to be more pasty, and by the very nature of it goes on slow, which makes for a more certainly a more tedious, but a finer, more sophisticated treatment. It's just the material itself has to be worked differently, which makes it interesting. And then so the early pieces were tended to be the large pieces, which I brought out from Venice, California. The intermediate pieces are the smaller ones, such as this unfinished piece. And now I'm again going back to the larger forms, which are piling up in the other parts of the house. How many showings have I had in these 20 years? I have had 1 showing. In these 20 years, I've had 1 showing. And the rest, I have been working in secret. For 20 years, I've been working in secret and isolation. And about a year ago, I took a few things. I figured I better surface as an artiste, or I might become too feeble. You know. And so I took some things out to Ray Cass, the professor at Virginia Tech, and he booked me in for my one show, and aside from that, I might say we're starving to death. But living the life that we choose to live as we so slowly shrink away.
Action. We find ourselves now in the interrogation area. The store customer does not come directly into the store proper. He comes first into the interrogation booth. For the past several years of my life, I have only done what strikes my fancy, what pleases me. Such it has been with the, in all other elements within my show business act, my entertainment act. And so it was when I was a practicing painter, an artist. It so happens that I failed, the act folded. I'm retired from show business now. And so with the painting, I could not make a go of it. So with those, so it is with the store. I've been working 6 months on the store to make it the finest store that I know how. I spared no expense, no energy. And if, like the act, if like the artist career, it folds, I will only have done what I thought was best and what struck my fancy. A store is a magnificent thing. You know, a store is a shop is a little shop, yeah, with just a few little things, you know, ladies there. A store is a masculine thing, a store. The store plaque.
The theme of the documentary that was made, the black and white documentary that was made in the mid-60s, was for one of a kind, which were celebrities, as it were, that led lives of their own choosing. And it had people like, well, I followed Upton Sinclair and prefaced Dizzy Gillespie, but these were people that led lives that they chose to, doing things that they wanted to do. I did it then, and I've been continuing to do it up here in this rural environment. Speaking of that documentary, one thing that they didn't explain, they just showed the pictures of, were the hex blocks that I made. This is a large hex block. The ones shown in the film were small hex blocks, and the reason for that was at that time there was a lot. It was being in the early '60s. There was there was a lot of promotion of warfare, jungle warfare. And there were toys that were very gruesome, terrible things, that jungle warfare toys and machine guns and camouflaged outfits targeted for the young kids, knives and cutting things. So I thought that was pretty harsh. So I came up with the concept of a hex block, wherein you could do damage to your enemy, but it was at least on a little higher psychical level. And so I mounted, for purposes of that film, I mounted the guns and all the warfare tools on a cone, and the idea was to have it revolve slowly, and then to explain in the background what the colorful and pretty hex blocks were to do. But somehow that got lost in the making.
I was a pre-med student in school. I had 6 years of pre-med, and I worked a total of 12 years in medical research, heart-lung machines and artificial kidneys and so on. And I had an acceptance to medical school. This was some years ago. And I was going to UCLA, and the only course that I needed, and that the only science course that I was taking, I was enrolled as a pre-med, was embryology, and all the rest were in the painting or ceramics department, in the art department. And I became involved in this stuff, and there was just one day where I felt, well, this stuff is real neat, and I just dropped the pre-med, sent them a letter saying that to count me out of their next year's enrollment. And about a year ago, I then finally made the decision with the act and the associated works that I would just not do anything more, if at all possible. That this would be the one thing, starve or not.
Okay, what we did to get out here was we decided to move away from the congested city and all that means. And so we sold our place and gave away all our furniture and belongings and kept only the artwork that I had. We rented the largest U-Haul we could find and packed it away and brought it out. And through a real estate catalog, found this particular area, saw this spot, was the first place the real estate operator showed us, and bought it. And